From Rays of the One Light by Swami Kirananda, Abiding in God. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda often emphasized, more often to his disciples than to the general public, but also to everyone generally, for it was a universal teaching, the importance of attunement. For divine understanding cannot be created, it must be perceived. To the disciples, Yogananda spoke of the importance of attunement with the Guru. To others, he urged the importance at least of attuning oneself to higher consciousness. Can an eagle rise without support from the sustaining air? Jesus Christ said in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 15, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered. And men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, and ye bear much fruit. So shall ye be my disciples. How can we abide in him? Jesus says, if my words abide in you, By words, he meant not only his spoken words, but his vibrations, his consciousness, of which the words are only an expression. We must abide by the teachings, but we must also absorb those teachings into ourselves, that they become our own experience. For disciples of this path, the more in their hearts they live consciously in the presence of the Masters, the more they will find the divine presence living within them. And for all truth seekers, whether disciples or not, the more they live sustained inwardly by the awareness of God's presence, the higher they will find themselves soaring in wisdom and joy. For the Bhagavad Gita says in the 10th chapter, I am the source of everything. From me all creation emerges. Blessed with this realization, the wise, awe-stricken, adore me. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
So good morning to all of you. Happy Sunday. Thank you for coming. Most of the people living here in the ashram are at Ananda Village this weekend because it's a special weekend. It's the anniversary celebration. Ananda is 43 years old come the 4th of July. And so many people from all over the world have gone there to join in that celebration, and it's my honor to be here with you to enjoy this celebration together of Sunday. The reading today is really a remarkable one. As we know, Jesus spoke in parables, and it's important that we understand what the parables mean. It's not easy to speak about things which are invisible. I mean, how do you talk about love? If you love somebody and you want to tell somebody else, what do you tell them about? Do you tell them about how the other person looks? I mean, is your love dependent on how the other person looks? And it's very hard to describe the feeling. And so God's presence in our life and how we feel, and God's miracles that he enacts in our lives, it's very difficult for us to talk about that. And so Jesus, as all the spiritual teachers in all traditions, used parables. And this parable, in his time, was a striking one, a familiar one that communicated very well. He said, I am the vine, and you are the branches. And if you cast yourself away, if you detach yourself, if the branch is cut off from the vine, it's going to wither and die. But when the branch stays with the vine, and that vine is vital, then it will bear fruit. Now his listeners were farmers. They had vineyards. It was an agrarian society. And so they understood. It was very clear to them because they had seen the branches that had been taken away. They had collected those branches. They had taken them to be burned. And perhaps for some of us, this parable, this example still communicates. But if Jesus were here today, and I don't presume to know what he would use, but what do we think he would use to make this same point? The point is simple, the point is clear. As long as we live connected to God, to his power, to his life, to that life force, the sap that's flowing through the vine, we're going to make fruit. We're going to be grapes or whatever it is, and be very tasty. Our lives will be meaningful. Our lives will be fulfilled. What can we use today to bring across that same point? Well, it's very tempting, and I'm totally tempted, and I cannot resist, to use the example of the internet. Because all of us are wild about connectivity. I've come recently from Italy, and I arrived, and I think within 1 hour of my arrival, my question was, do we have connectivity? Can I get connected? Walk in the house, put your toiletries in the bathroom, put your suitcase down, and plug in. And connectivity is important today in our lives. I mean, just think the universe that is open to us when we are connected to the internet, to something that's greater than us. Who doesn't use the internet to find out important things? If the doctor tells you that you have some kind of sickness or a friend of yours, what do you do? Instead of getting a second and third opinion, you go right to the internet. And it's all there, more than 2 or 3 opinions, but thousands of opinions. Now, how to sort through those opinions, how to distinguish what is true from what is mere opinion, that's still left up to us. But doctors, when they're trying to help their patient, that same doctor who has told you that you have some kind of disease, we can count on it, that he's going to go to the internet too, and find out if there have been any latest discoveries. Are there other doctors who are treating that? He might be able, through Skype or through teleconferencing, call the others and find out how they have treated this. It's an amazing thing to be connected to a body of knowledge that's so much greater than our own. And we need to do that, because how can we live just on what we know? Because what we know, what we have experienced, is so little compared to what there is to know and what there is to experience. And how frustrating it is for us when there's no connectivity. I go on long flight from Italy to Los Angeles and back again. That flight is 13 hours long. And wow, is it frustrating not to be connected. Oh, just think of all the things that I can do. When I was in Italy thinking about coming to California, I had certain great expectations. The first one, oh, I'm coming to the land of gluten-free restaurants. I mean, that's unheard of. You know, in Italy, even going into a supermarket and being able to buy gluten-free pasta. I mean, you have to come to America to get gluten-free pasta. But I was also anticipating, I'm going to the land of fast connectivity. You know, until I came to this house. It was an embarrassment about myself. I was embarrassed that when for several days there was the connectivity, you know, was intermittent, how incredibly frustrated I was. I mean, within a period of 5 days, 3 technicians came and we changed the router 4 times, you know, and we still don't have good connectivity. And so we try to do our work and we try to tap into that greater source. And when it's not there, we feel it. When we go driving these days, what are we connected to? The GPS, right? We have our navigator, and we're just so relaxed. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. You just go and plug it in, and the navigator tells you where to go. 300 meters, turn left. You can just relax. I mean, you could multitask and do all kinds of other things. You can compose songs, you can talk to your friends, knowing that the navigator is going to get you there. Well, what's it connected to? You know, some satellite, somewhere. Well, aren't these parables for what Jesus was talking about? Because we know that we have to be connected to something that's greater than we are. Oftentimes when we do our work, when we speak, when we do whatever we do, if we're relying just on ourselves and we're not connected, it's really very thin. And we feel it. We feel that we are adrift. But when we do connect to that higher power, then something else happens that elevates us to a level that is far beyond our own limited capacities. And not just spiritual people who do this. It's people in every field, in every activity, some of them, that know how to do this. And that's what makes the difference between those who are great, those who are mediocre, and those who are not good at all. Comes to mind Mozart as a musician. All of us know his name, don't we? All of us know and enjoy his music. Have you ever heard of Salieri? A few of you have. He was much more popular than Mozart during Mozart's time, far more popular. But Mozart was connected to the eternal source of music. His music is eternal. His music, we've been listening to his music for the last 150 years. Very few people listen to Salieri's music. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of this. Have you ever heard of the Renaissance painter Vasari? No. Have you heard of Michelangelo? Leonardo da Vinci? Donatello? They were contemporaries. Now, the ones that I just mentioned, especially Leonardo, tapped into that great source, that satellite up there, the great mother computer, wherever she is, and drew down divine, eternal inspiration, which he expressed in writing. And his art is eternal. I went to Florence recently, and I saw some of Vasari's art. I was never interested. Because I knew that he was an okay, but just mediocre painter. And I went to a church, Santa Maria Maggiore, and there's a lot of his works there, and they're good. They're good. I enjoyed looking at them. I enjoyed his color. I enjoyed a lot of things, but I wasn't inspired. I remember once I was in the south of Italy. I can't remember the name of the city right now. It'll come to me. But they have, the southern part of Italy was colonized by Greece before Italy was Italy. And there are many Grecian temples. And in this particular little city, whose name I can't remember right now, there are large, great temples that are more well-preserved and larger than any temples existing in Greece. And I was so excited about this, because I've never been to Greece. I don't intend to go there. And I'm like, wow, you know, here I am. I was so excited, I called Swami Kriyananda. I don't know why, I just wanted to call him. And I said, Swami, I'm here and I'm in the Greek temples. And he said, what do you think of them? And I said, oh, they're so big and they're well preserved. And I went on and on. And then there was silence on the other end of the line. And he said, do they inspire you? And I thought about it. And I looked up and I said, no. They were just there. You know, they were big, they were great, they were old, they were preserved, but they weren't inspiring. So there's that level of inspiration that if we can plug into it, we can connect and stay connected. Whatever we do, will be raised to a far higher octave. I've heard about it. I like sports and I like watching it, especially when I'm with my husband and we're traveling. We don't have television at home, but when we're traveling, he'll put on the sports station in hotels. And so, I watch the tennis matches. And I've heard that tennis players these days are talking about a certain state that they achieve. It's called the zone. Okay? Being in the zone. And when they're in that state, they can't lose. They're invincible because they know what's going to happen before it happens. They can feel, they know where to go. There's just a power. They're in a flow, they're in a zone, they're in a bubble, they're in a presence that is telling them, that's guiding them. It's like the navigator. But it's guiding them where to be. They know where the ball's going to be. They know how they need to be in order to hit the ball, and they're always right on, being in the zone. There's a story of Yogananda when, I'll tell it to you briefly. He commissioned a portrait of Lahiri Mahashaya, his great guru, his guru's guru. And it was a famous painting. I'm sorry, it was a famous painter, a famous portrait painter. And the painter presented the portrait, and Yogananda said, there's something missing here. I mean, it kind of looks like Lahiri Mahashaya, but it just doesn't feel like him. It's not him. You haven't captured him. And Yogananda said to the painter, well, how long have you been doing portraits? And the man said, for 25 years. And he was quite insulted, offended. And Yogananda said, I think I can do better. Now he was really offended. So Yogananda said, give me a week. And Yogananda went and tuned in to that vine, to that source of power. And in that attunement, in that connection, he began to draw down what he needed, just like we download from the internet. He downloaded the inspiration of how to paint and how to paint portraits. He attuned himself to Lahiri Mahashaya's consciousness and downloaded that. And within a week, he had made a portrait. He covered it up, he invited the artist to come and said, I have something to show you. And he unveiled the painting, and the artist said, who did that? It's far better than mine. I want to meet the artist. And Yogananda said, he's standing here. Now, all of us can do this. And when we do, our lives become so much enriched. Swami Kriyananda writes music. And I don't know if his music will live as long as Mozart's has. I personally think it will. And I asked him one time, many people have asked him, well, how do you compose? Do you think about it? And he said, no, I don't compose like a computer. He said, I always hear Om. It's constant for me. It's something that's always with me. And when I feel an inspiration to write a piece of music, the Om becomes that song. It just transforms into other music. Because the Om is the mother computer. It's the satellite up there. So when we tap in to that cosmic source, Jesus said, I am the vine. My Father is the husbandman. Jesus was the Christ consciousness, and his Father was cosmic consciousness. And when we stay connected, then we have that power. Now, the internet can give us a lot of information. The internet can give us so much that some people might think we know a lot. But what it can't give us is wisdom. And what it can't give us is real power. As long as we're connected to the internet, we feel so powerful. We're in the driver's seat. We're navigating. We're the navigator. And we can pull things in from all over the universe. Almost from the Akashic records. It's all out there. But that power is false. if the internet goes away, where's the power? What do we have? What can we do without that power? The internet is not like the classic, that's not the word I want. It's not like the mythological philosopher's stone. Do you know what a philosopher's stone is? Philosopher's stone is the only thing that has the power to, whoever holds it will become a philosopher. It gives you the wisdom. So the internet is not the philosopher's stone. It doesn't give us the power. But Christ consciousness and cosmic consciousness gives us the power to become the sons of God. And what do we need to do? Jesus told us we need to receive that. We need to stay connected. And when we're connected, the impossible is possible. You know the story about Yogananda when he bought Mount Washington here in Los Angeles? It was this famous hotel, as you know, and it had it had not been used for a while. And the asking price was very high. It's amazing to even say today what that asking price was. It was $65,000. Laughable, isn't it? And it was a huge hotel, famous hotel. All the stars went there and so forth. $65,000. And Master very much wanted to have it because he had seen it in a vision when he was in India, when he was a younger man. And God gave him the vision of this place so that he would recognize it. So he wanted to buy it, and he went there to make the agreement with people. But there was this voice inside of him saying, no, it's not worth that much. Wait. He was tuned in to that. And he waited. And there were other people who came to look at it and they wanted to buy. But Yogananda heard that voice from on high. And he got the property for $45,000. Isn't that amazing? There was some years ago, I think it was 1993, in our community, the Ananda community in Assisi. And we were much smaller then. There weren't that many, but so many people were coming, and especially on holidays, that the little place that we had as our temple, which was really hunting lodge, it just wasn't big enough. And so we decided we have to build a temple. We have to build a temple. We just can't be here anymore. And so we thought with our own little minds, you know, and knowledge, well, what can we do? Well, we have this little piece of property. It's like about 2 acres. No, just a little one. It's 1.2 hectares. Yeah. So a little more than 2 acres. What can we do? So we thought, well, we'll build a little temple. We have some bungalows that we don't use, and we'll add up all the square footage of the little bungalows, you know, using our minds. We'll add it up, we'll go to the county and say, can we trade this in? We'd like to trade our bungalows for a temple. And we were really sure they were going to accept that because it's logical, right? We have this, just let us tear it down, move it over a little bit, and we'll build a temple. So in we went, and we made that proposal. They were not interested in it at all. For one reason, is because the bungalows were built illegally. So they said, sorry, you can't have your temple. And I was there. I was the one making the proposal to the man. And suddenly, I just felt, well, if this doesn't work, if our plan didn't work, maybe God has a plan. And if God has a plan, and he hasn't revealed it to us, maybe he can reveal it to this man. So I said to this man, I mean, he's just a bureaucrat, right? I mean, he has no authority. He's not an elected official or anything. I said to this man, what can we do? Can you find a solution for us? And he just looked at me, because I don't think anybody had ever asked him to help out. You know, they just go in and ask for permission. And he just said, well, wait a minute. And he left the room, and he came back with this pile of books, and he started looking through books. And he said, well, your property is agricultural. Now, on agricultural property, you can build a barn. And you can build a large barn. And the barn can have a silo. And the silo can be very high. And so he gave us the permission to build a barn, which was like 4 times as large as our bungalows. And the silo was as high as we wanted to make the roof. So we built that barn in the silo, and that was 16 years ago. And it's amazing to admit, but it is still classified as a barn. Because the bureaucracy in Italy moves very slowly. We've tried for 16 years to get the zoning changed into religious buildings. And they keep saying yes, yes. And so what happens? There's another government is elected. In Italy it happens every year, they have governments. Earthquakes come. An earthquake came and destroyed the building where our application was. Nobody could get in for 2 years. It was condemned. So there was another 2-year block. Then by the time they went in and took out the papers, the regulations had changed. And so it goes on and on. But anyway, it was a divine plan. Could we have thought of that? No, not at all. But we were connected. We knew that it was right to do that. When we're connected, the power flows. When the branch is connected to the vine, there's going to be grapes. There's going to be fruit. And so much more than we could ever expect. This is the joy of living. This is the joy of living for God, in God, with God. This is what the spiritual path means. It means that we're not living anymore just by our own knowledge, by the facts, by what we can see and feel and think. But we're living at in a higher dimension. And in that dimension, anything is possible. And it's always exciting. It's always beyond our expectations. And when we're connected with that power, it always protects us. There's a story of Master's first disciple. His name was Dr. Lewis. He was a dentist from Boston, and he welcomed Master and organized things for Master. And Master said to him, always be in Om, in that vibration. And Doctor always was. Wherever he went, he just felt that he was in that vibration, in that bubble of Om. Well, he lived in Boston. It's very snowy and icy there. And one day he was driving on an icy road, and when it was going down to a bridge over a raging river. And as he approached the bridge, his brakes weren't working. And the car started spinning, and he thought he was going to go right off the bridge into the water. And he remembered that he was connected with Om. And he just started chanting Om. And as the car got to the bridge without its brakes, there was a force that just stopped it dead, right before it got to the bridge. When we're in that power, when we're in that zone, God protects us, God guides us, He's our navigator, and God elevates, He strengthens our own capacities to such a wonderful, wonderful degree. Everything is possible to us when we're in that. How can we get in that? How can we stay in that? I'd like to offer you 2 suggestions. Not me. It's what we heard today in the reading. It's what the masters say. How do we connect? What is our real connectivity? You know, it's not the plug. It's through meditation. It's through deep meditation. We can't be in tune with that unless we go into deep silence. Because consciousness is perfectly still, is perfectly silent. Out of the silence, as we sing in one of our songs, out of the silence came the song of creation. And when we're deeply in meditation, we feel that we are connected with that vine. Those of you who practice or who aspire to practice Kriya, it is exactly what Jesus said. We have that vine within us, the vine of the spine, of the deep spiritual inner spine that's called the Shoshona. And when we practice our Kriya, we're in that. We're in the flow of life. We're in the flow of prana. This is the power that we want to be connected to. It's called prana, infinite cosmic energy, infinite life. And when we meditate, if we connect with that, get in that flow is going to take us to the ocean. All rivers go to the sea. If you get into the river, sooner or later, we'll get to the ocean. And when we meditate, we get into that river. The river that's flowing, that river of prana in our spine. So let's meditate more often, more deeply. As Yogananda said in his poem Samadhi, by deeper, longer, thirsty, Guru-given meditation. Let's do what the Guru gives us, our practice of deep meditation in Kriya. And one other thought here. To connect, to have real connectivity, and to feel that power, to be able to use that power, Yogananda brought to the world a unique technique. Meditation is ancient. There's nothing new there. Kriya Yoga has been around for yugas. But Yogananda gave a gift to the world in the energization exercises. When we do that practice, it takes 12 minutes a day, 12 minutes each time we practice. When we do the energization, we are opening ourself, our little branch. We are opening to the cosmic energy. And as we tense and relax the body, the life force is flowing into us. We are downloading the infinite power into our bodies and into our minds. To the person who energizes, does it conscientiously, does it consciously, when he finishes energization, his body has been transformed into pure energy. The mind has been opened to so many other dimensions. We live not as human beings, but as super human beings. Because it's the prana, that cosmic consciousness, that comes in and raises us up. And it's available. I mean, it's just like, so they say, you know, the internet through Wi-Fi is available wherever you go. You can be writing and sending emails in your car, and sometimes in airplanes, if you get a business seat. You can be doing that too. Well, Wi-Fi is the prana, and we are always connected. We can always be connected. It just takes that act of will to open up the doorway here at the medulla. And as we energize, we open, that force is flowing through us, and the body is no longer visible. We're just a channel, and it's flowing through. What a wonderful, wonderful way to be. The song we sang at the beginning is a very beautiful song, and let's remember it this week. What is this life that's flowing through my veins? It's divine. It's not ours. It's not what we get from eating, from our diet. Diet's important, but the prana is what sustains us. That is the life flowing through our veins. And let's recognize that it's divine and not ours. What is the energy flowing through the form? It's the prana. What is the consciousness that's flowing through our brains? These thoughts aren't ours. Yogananda said, thoughts are universally, not individually rooted. And when we have that power flowing through our brains, we open up to infinite conscious, to the Akashic records, where there is all knowledge, all wisdom. And what is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? Each one of us, we are a branch. We belong to the vine. The vine belongs to God. And when we live connected, everything is possible. So let's not get frustrated when our internet connectivity isn't working. Because let's know and remember always that we are connected. We are the sons of God. To all those who received him, to all of us who connect, he will give us the power, the philosopher's stone, to become like him. That is our destiny. We will become just as Jesus, just as Buddha, just as all the great masters. We too will become perfectly, completely illuminated, enlightened, and liberated children of God. May we all be